Hello, welcome back to my world of stuff. This is my name. Second video I've done today on Monday, but as I've said in the previous video, which might be the next video, depending on when I get them edited, can't guarantee they'll both go up on Monday, but I'll do my best to get them both up ASAP. I've had a delivery from Mr. Amazon. Oh yes, let's unbox it. In fact, I've already opened it, to be fair, but I'm actually unboxing it now. And as I say, to me, an unboxing is taking something out of a box. It is, of course, the new Doctor Who animated Blu-ray release, also available on DVD and Steelbook. It is, of course, Galaxy 4. This is an interesting release. These seem to be coming out on almost every month now, but I think that's because they've got a couple of different studios working on the animations at different times, so they can speed up the release schedule of them. This is the very first of the animations featuring William Hartnell that the BBC have done as a full-length Blu-ray release. They've done previous missing episodes, I think from Reign of Terror, a couple of animated episodes, that first season story. So they've done that in the past, but this is the first fully animated Hartnell story. Of course, we've had a string of Troughton stories, Power of the Daleks, Macro Terror, Faceless Ones, and most recently the excellent Evil of the Daleks. If you've not seen my review of that, go back a little bit and find my unboxing and review of that one. But this is Galaxy 4, which has arrived today. This is the first story from season 3 of the original Doctor Who from 1965, starring, of course, William Hartnell, Maureen O'Brien as Vicky, and Peter Purvis, yes, him off Blue Peter, as Stephen Taylor. This is the story of the TARDIS landing on a doomed planet on which are marooned two alien races who have been battling in space, and they both crashed on the same planet. They're the Dravins, who are the compelling and extremely plausible female race. And there are the Rills, who are hideous walrus type creatures, and they've got their robotic servants. I think that the Chumbleys are the robotic servants of the Dravins, I believe. Shows how well I don't know this story. The Chumbleys, these little robotic creatures, which were one of the attempts at the time in the era of to try and recreate the success of the Daleks by some new robotic species. But of course, that was to happen really the next year when the Cybermen first appeared. So I'm a bit sort of blah about this story because I've never seen it, obviously. Only one episode exists. I know what it's about, and I know broadly speaking what happens, but I don't know the intricate sort of ins and outs of the details of the story. Of course, I've seen that one recovered episode, which I think was episode 3, Airlock. Or it could be episode 2, who knows. Yeah, episode 3, which was recovered a few years ago. I've seen that, and I'm familiar with that, but the whole intricacies of the story I'm not that familiar with. So what I'm going to do is open this baby up to see what's on board, and I'm going to watch it hopefully later tonight and get a review together for you as soon as possible. So here's the disc with a very nice slip cover, which of course duplicates the actual cover of the disc itself, but it's always nice to have a slip cover. The disc itself, of course, is fully shrink wrapped, as one would expect for a new item. So I'll just get the shrink wrap off, which is going to require me to dig out the murdering scissors. It's not really murdering scissors. I must point that out in case you've not watched many of my videos before, because my murdering scissors is much bigger than this. Oh God, these things are hard to open. Anyway, right, so here we are. Let's get this baby out of its cellophane. Okay, so there we are. That's the set, the fairly traditional. It's a 2-disc edition, fairly standard. Blu-ray box set opens up, and as is the way of things, you get a little booklet inside. Put that down for a sec. So you get the usual Doctor Who merchandise that's available stuff, which is of interest. But this is the actual little booklet. And to be fair, the BBC always do this 12-page booklet, which chronicles the history of the animation, the story itself, some images from the animation, and gives you a bit of background about the episodes themselves. So that'll be a nice little read, I dare say. Then you got the 2 discs, disc 1, and of course disc 2, which presumably has the colour episodes, which are the ones I'll be watching tonight, and special features. As usual with these reconstructions or animations, they are done in colour and in black and white. Now, I know that for some fans can be a little bit sniffy about that because they want to see them purely in black and white, but they're on there in black and white anyway, so you've got that option. But I must admit, watching Evil of the Daleks last month in fuller colour really gave me a proper appreciation of the story in ways that, to be honest, the previous ones in colour haven't. But I think Evil of the Daleks is such a good story anyway. You can't go wrong with it. So there we are. In terms of special features, he says, pushing back his glasses, we've got the episodes 1 and 4 animated black and white and animated in colour. We got a remastered version of the surviving original episode 3, remastered surviving clip from episode 1. That's the quite famous clip that sees the Doctor and Stephen confronting the Dravins on their spaceship. That's been shown quite often in documentaries and so on. Photographic reconstructions of episodes 1, 2 and 4. Audio commentaries. Making of documentary, which I'll be interested to see. I believe that's got Toby Hadoke, who's the Doctor Who aficionado who does a lot of interviews on the Blu-rays and DVDs. I think he's meeting Peter Purves and doing a sort of behind-the-scenes type thing, because obviously 1965, there's not a lot of people involved in the making of this still around. So Peter Purves is still with us, mercifully and thankfully. So I think he makes an appearance. I think Maureen O'Brien's on there as well. We've got a Finding Galaxy 4 documentary, photo gallery, production subtitles, and PDF ROM content, which, to be honest, not of interest to me. Can't be bothered. So there we are. That's Galaxy 4, which is tonight's viewing here in the cinema room. It's out now. It's available in all good shops and online stores, so check it out. I will be watching this and I'll review it very, very soon.
The next day.
Hello, welcome back. It's now Tuesday evening. Apologies for not uploading a video last night of the whole story. It'll probably got Wednesday morning. By the time you get to see it, it'll be sometime during Wednesday. Meant to watch it last night. Actually started to watch it. Watched the first episode and I did fall asleep. It was late. I was a bit sleepy. That's my excuse. So I did watch the special features. I'll talk about those in a bit. It's Tuesday night now and I've sat and watched the whole 4 episodes of Galaxy 4. And I have to say, it's not a story that I think I'll be tempted to revisit again in the future. Because, let's face it, it's not really very good. In one of the special features, Toby Hadoke, the noted Doctor Who fan, comedian, / now actor, he's a regular in Coronation Street, in case you didn't know, he interviews Peter Purves. He goes to his house to interview Peter Purves, who plays Stephen Taylor in the Hartnell era. And as he's walking up the drive to Peter Purves' very nice 17th century country home, he evinces the opinion that Galaxy 4 is often considered to be a bit inessential and a bit of a throwaway story. Having watched it, I think I'd have to agree. He tries to rehabilitate it in the documentary by showing Peter Purves lots of photographs and talking about it. And in that feature, we see contributions from people like Maureen O'Brien, various other people tangentially related to the production of the serial. But when you watch it again, now I don't know if it's the animation, I don't know if it's the story. I think it's probably a bit of both, but it really isn't very good. It's not an example of early Doctor Who at its best by any stretch of the imagination. The story is very simplistic. Basically, 2 alien races, the female warriors, the Dravins, who are basically the Sontarans in skirts, have had a conflict in space with hideous alien creatures called the Rills. Their spaceships have crash landed on a deserted, uninhabited planet, which is about to explode. They're told it's going to explode in a few days' time. The Doctor, Stephen and Vicky arrive. They meet up with the Chumbleys, who are in fact the robotic servants of the Rills, not the Dravins, as I mentioned in the preamble to this review, which just goes to show how much of an impact this story has ever made on me really reading about it. And they're obviously meant to be sort of substitute of the Daleks in a way, the conical sort of shape they are. They're very much, low-grade Dalek replacements. And they sort of roll around squeaking and beeping and being slightly irritating. As I say, it's a simplistic story. The Doctor and his companions are captured by the Dravins, who tell them that the hideous Rills have forced them down on this planet, which they know is about to explode. The Rills are trying to repair their spaceship. The Dravins want to destroy the evil Rills, take the spaceship and get off the planet before it explodes. But of course, I suppose, and what is a nice twist when you think this was 1965, the Dravins are effectively the baddies. They're the ruthless, warlike ones. And the Rills are fairly peaceable. They don't want warfare. They just want to get off the planet. And they entered into a battle with the Dravins, where the Dravins took a pot shot at them in space and they both crashed on the planet. that's pretty much all there is. And the 4 episodes are basically a lot of running around between the spaceships, Tumblies running around squeaking, people getting captured and escaping. And it really doesn't amount to very much. The reason it doesn't amount to very much is twofold as far as I'm concerned. Certainly the script, as I said, is very basic and very simplistic. There's nothing ambitious about the dialogue or the structure of the thing. It's very much simplistic is just the word. It's very basic. The language used is very simplistic as well. You know, it's mostly words of one syllable. You know, this metal spaceship, these ray guns, these robots, these machines. It's very flat and it gets the job done. It tells the story, but there's no verve and no heft in the dialogue. If you think at the time, people like David Whittaker and Dennis Spooner were writing quite erudite scripts for the series, and this is just very much science fiction, clunky science fiction by numbers. Very forgettable as a story, inoffensive, but totally forgettable. The animation, it is a step down from what the animation that we saw in Evil of the Daleks last month, which was really top drawer stuff. And of course, that was helped by the fact that it's such a good script. And it's got the Daleks, and of course, that carries it on. But you felt with Evil of the Daleks, they went the extra mile to make it atmospheric, to make it look less like a cartoon. This does look very much like a cartoon. The animation is really several steps back as far as I'm concerned. It's very flat. The likenesses of the Doctor and his companions are fair enough, and the likenesses of the other characters are basically the Dravins, the only other real humanoid characters. They're decent enough. But the animation is just uninspiring, really. I watched the colour version, which perhaps does it a disservice, because of course the story was made in black and white. That's probably how it should be seen. But it's nice to watch it in colour, and it looks very vivid, but it looks too vivid. It looks too garish. The planetscape just looks too big and too sprawling. And this was done by Big Finish, who are, of course, the purveyors of Doctor Who audio. And they've done this, they produced this in conjunction with various animators. And of course, when you're doing something like this, you're going to do it on a grander scale. You're going to make it look bigger than it could have looked on TV. But then you're aware, and I'm particularly aware of this, that this wasn't what was on TV, really. Because there are clips from the first episode, and the third episode exists. And there's quite a famous clip that I think was used in the Who's Doctor Who documentary in 1977, where the Doctor and his companions meet the Dravins for the first time. And that scene is quite well known because we've all seen that. And here it's just framed very differently. The camera angles are different and everybody's positioned in a different way. I think they've been too creative in the way they've interpreted the story and not tried to stay to the look of the thing on screen. Because obviously it looks bigger. It looks, we know it didn't have the scope and scale. There's a scene in space, which is fair enough, which shows the spaceships battling over some dialogue that Margaret is delivering. But we know that wasn't on screen. But it is artistic license, it's creative choice. And I dare say that they were limited in what they could bring to the screen, because I think there are some what they call telesnaps available for the story. And of course, they're going to make it look bigger, but some of it just looks odd. In the last episode where they go aboard the real spaceship, it just looked weird. It doesn't look like a spaceship. It looks like, I described it to somebody as like an unstacked corner of Marks and Spencer's with, bright colours and carpets. It just doesn't look like a spaceship, basically. And there's some odd animation choices. I mean, there's one particular scene, I think it's episode 2, where Stephen is captured by the Dravins, and he wrenches a gun off one of the Dravins and sort of prances round with it before putting it down. And that's clearly because, obviously, the audio recording exists. It's good quality audio recordings. That's how these animations get made. But obviously, what on earth's going on in this bit of audio where something's happening, but it's hard to work out what? And they've chosen to interpret it as this slightly odd dance that he does with the gun, aiming it at the two Dravins, then puts it down. And it's an odd scene. There's a couple of other bits where you think that's odd. It looks odd. I noticed as well, famously William Hartnell throughout his time in Doctor Who wore sort of checked Victorian trousers. Obviously that was a bit of a hassle to animate. So here he's just wearing sort of grey slacks. He's not really in costume. He's not in the sort of costume look that we had from Hartnell in the TV series at the time. And it is quite amusing because William Hartnell is notorious for his sort of fluffing some of his lines, especially in those space opera stories, which he was never particularly at home with. And there are a couple of classics here, particularly in the first episode where the TARDIS lands, and he suggests that they all go out for some long-deserved, undeserved quiet time, which is a bit odd when you think about it. There's a couple of others. But of course, you know, I'm being cruel because, of course, we know that William Hartnell was at the time suffering from the first stages of the illness, which eventually wrote him out of the series. So I shouldn't be cruel about it. But his fluffs are always an amusing thing to watch out for. And you've probably all got your favourites. So in the end, I've got to say Galaxy 4 is disappointing because I did hope that this animation would rehabilitate it a bit. It wasn't a story that's ever had much of a reputation, as I've said and demonstrated. I didn't really know much about the live version of it. But watching it again, it is just a bit dull. It's uneventful. I'd say it's just the flatness of the script. I think Stephanie Bidmead gives a good performance as Margot, and I think her performance would have come across better in the live version than it does in the animation. The disc also includes the remastered version of episode 3, which I haven't watched yet, so I will have a look at that. A couple of good documentaries. The making of is quite good fun, as I've said. Toby Hadoke interviews Peter Purvis. There's also filmed inserts from Maureen O'Brien, who plays Vicky. Clive Doig, who was a famous, I think, vision mixer at the BBC. The son of Mervyn Pinfield, who was Doctor Who's first associate producer. And Brian Hodgson, who produced special sounds for Doctor Who over the years. And they all contribute little bits and pieces. Of course, we're talking about a story that was made 55, 56 years ago. There are sadly very few people involved in the making of it left to be interviewed. So I think, you know, hats off to BBC Studios and Russell Minton and his team for actually managing to cobble something together. And this is quite entertaining. There's also quite a nice feature about how episode 3 was recovered 10 years ago, alongside episode, I think it's 2 of The Underwater Menace from the Troughton era, and how a film collector discovered that he had a couple of Doctor Who canisters in his shed and returned them to the BBC. That's quite interesting. The commentaries, as I said, I haven't listened to yet, and there's a few other bits and pieces. So it's a nice package, a nicely presented package. Doctor Who fans will want it, but I do honestly think it's a once-only watch. I can't imagine any time in my life, what's left of it, that I'm going to sit down and think, you know, I really must watch Doctor Who's Galaxy 4 again and reappraise it, because I've appraised it and it's really not very good. Sorry. Anyway, if you've watched it, a lot of you out there might have seen it by now. Let me know what you thought of it. You might have thought it was wonderful. I mean, it's nice to see these, nice to have a chance to see these missing stories in this format. But I think there's only so much you can do with poor source material, and I just think this is one of the weaker early era Doctor Who's. Yeah, so let me know what you think of it. Leave a comment down below. Tell me what you think of it, what you thought of the story, what you think of the animation, just generally the whole package. As I say, it's a good package, but it's just as a story. Hello, 'tis me again. Just back because I realised after I recorded that particular video that I'd done what I'm doing all the time lately, and I forgot to rate the damn thing. I keep forgetting that, I don't know why. Anyway, my rating for Galaxy 4, in case you're interested, sadly, after a lot of consideration, is going to be just a little 4 out of 10, I'm afraid. I don't rate it very highly, and it's not one I'd particularly recommend. So that's Galaxy 4, 4 out of 10, quite appropriately. Otherwise, if you've watched this video and thought, hey, that was okay, like and subscribe. Press that subscribe button. Press that like button. Leave a comment, and we'll get a bit of a dialogue going, you and me. Right, that's me for now. Until next time, you know what they say, you keep taking the stuff.